Hi, okay, so welcome back, and we're going to continue with our tree, and you should have this at the moment, our leaves on one texture sheet, just like this, and then we broke them off and made these. Now we're going to make these little branches. And let me just turn off the edges so you can see what I've done here. What we're going to do with these, we're going to make these quite simply, and we're going to take our leaves and stick them onto our branches. And then we're going to take these branches and connect them to bigger branches, which we're going to make next. And then we're going to render out the bigger branches with these leaves on it to create our images to use on our trees. Okay, so let's get started with this. I'm going to show you an image now just to give you an idea of what kind of size we're creating here, because these are really small, as you can see by the leaves. And if you think about trees, I'll tell you what, let's just look at the image now. Okay, so here's one image, and this, if you look at the structure of a tree, you can see it's got like a big branch and then a smaller branch and then an even smaller branch, and it's the smaller branches, apart from perhaps the end, where the leaves reside. So these are the ones we're going to start building. We're going to make these little branches, and we're going to stick them onto much larger branches and then attach them to even larger branches. So we build up that structure, and each tree is sort of slightly different, so you need to study your trees to sort of get a grasp on how to build them so they look quite realistic and consistent. So again, see this tree here is slightly different. These are quite long branches, and the leaves are coming off these branches, and they're attached to even longer branches. It's a slightly different look, but it's the same structure. It just grows slightly different. Here's a good example of big branches, smaller branches, and even smaller branches where the leaves live. So you can see on this one too, it's like big branch, smaller branch, and even smaller twiggy branches where the leaves live. And these are the ones we're building at the moment, these smaller ones, and we're going to attach them to bigger branches in a moment after we've done the smaller ones. And you can see I took some pictures of an oak tree. This is where I got my leaves from, in fact. And you can see here the branches are, these are the ones we're creating, these little bobbly ones that are coming out. And we want to try and get some of these little bobbly bits that stick out, these sort of little nubs, too, which are quite easy to achieve actually, using the branch tool in Max. And there's some more. These are the ones we're creating, a bit blurry, but you get the idea. So let's go and do them. Okay, quite straightforward. Right, go to create. We're going to start with a cylinder, like that. Turn on edges. We don't need the height, so we can crank down the height segments to 1. 5. Make sure your size is 5 or 6. It doesn't really matter too much. That's cool. It's got to be a lot smaller than that, so just scale it down, so it's roughly something like that size. Yeah, don't need the height. Take it down so it's flat. So we're starting with something like this, and this is essentially our launch pad for a branch. So we're going to right click on that, convert it to an editable poly, poly draw, bring that down. Make sure your minimum distance here, I've got mine up to 50, but make sure it's around, 10 or something like that, because what that will do is it will draw a loop every 10, I think it's set to pixels, and it draws it based on the orientation of your screen. So if you're looking at it like that and you start drawing like this, it's going to draw it flat on the ground. So you're going to make sure when we start, let's start now in fact. So line your screen up so that you can draw vertically basically, and you need to see a slight bit of top so that we can catch it with our cursor and then start drawing up. So we get these sort of shapes. Okay, so let's start that now. Just click. with that branches selected, just click on the top, just make sure we can get it at the right angle, and just start drawing like this. Draw a shape, your first branch, and there it is. And now to do, like, we'll do a T one like this, and to do that you just make sure your screen, always make sure your screen's at the right orientation, because it will do it based on that. So just click on the next. See, sometimes you get this. If you get that, just undo and just move it around. There you go, and it will start off again. If you're not happy with it, just undo it. Maybe we'll get something down here instead. It is a bit, there you go, that's much better. And that's kind of, it's gone really flat, but that doesn't really matter, to be honest, because we're going to be turbo smoothing it, and then we're going to be using Pro Optimizer to get this sort of webbed look, because that's really good. And then we're going to use noise to sort of make it really knobbly and twisted. So, you know, you can, if you're not happy with that, undo it and try it again. Just keep getting something, just keep trying it until you get something you're really happy with. That looks good. See, I'm quite happy with that. That's cool. Okay, so once you get your branch like this, just come over here. If you haven't got Turbo Smooth on in your list, just go into Modify List and find it. You'll find it in here. Yes. You notice they're all in alphabetical order. Just come down to, there it is in your list. So just click on Turbo Smooth and it will smooth it out for you, which is quite cool. And once you get to this stage, you can then start adding, go back to your, just collapse all, click yes. It turns it into an editable mesh. So make sure you right click, convert it back to poly again. Go into your branches tool and you can start just pulling out some of these knobbly bits. You know, those little bits that we said we quite like the look of. Well, we can start just pulling some of them out like this. Yeah, and even some thinner ones if you fancy that. Just get some branches, some really thin branches. It's good to do it at this stage because we've added a lot more smaller polygons, and that's kind of what you want. You know, you can even make them some small ones like this. Add some of those little knobbly things that we saw, which is quite nice. It just gives it an added sense of realism. Yeah, that's cool. So now we're going to optimize this. Go to Pro Optimize, and it won't do anything until you click on Calculate. So click on Calculate. You notice it's gone crazy and added more. So we just need to vertex count, I don't know, 500. Boom, and instantly it optimizes your branch. So you can even slide, bring it up and down, do it even more, you know, until you get something that's something like that. Because now we're gonna turbo smooth it again, and then you get that sort of webbed look like that. That's what you're after. Okay, so now we're going to add some noise to it. So you get all these little weird jaggedy things, and it doesn't matter. Don't worry about the polygons, because like I said before, we're going to render this. It doesn't matter how detailed it is or how long the polygons are or anything like that. Just what you're after is a really good shape, basically, and it's a convincing looking branch. You can, if you want to, add an FFD to it and pull that around a little bit, so you got some, you know, just give it some extra shape, which is always quite cool. You know, whatever you want to do to it from this point on, you can do that. Okay, that's that. And then just add the noise, you know, go in and put some noise on it. And this is quite interesting because this gives it that twisty, knobbly look. So if you click on, make sure your noise is selected. Seeds, just put a 5 or something in there. Scale, you want to bring that right down to about 20. Turn on fractal. Turn up your roughness. We can play with that once we've set it going. So now down in your strength on the X, you want to start, see straight away, like you get that sort of twisted branch look. I do it on the Y also. Z you can do, but it kind of, it's up to you. Add some on the Z, and you can see it's starting to look more like a natural sort of. There's a bit of a kink there, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. You got to be careful you don't go too far and it starts imploding on itself. But we are going to be rendering anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. You can bring up the scale a little bit more just to get rid of some of those really bad imperfections. And there we go. I'm happy with that, but play with it as much as you like. Get a really good knobbly branch look. You can see I've done all mine here, got different shapes, and this is the sort of, I mean, we've got 5, yeah, we've got 5 or 6 at least to get some variation. Once you've done all that, just right click, collapse all, yes, and then we have our branch like so. Like so, and it looks quite convincing. Now we're going to put a texture on it. I've already created, I'll put this texture on the lecture for you so you can just download it, but just go online, textures.com, find a bark, any bark really, and cut it out into a square and create a material from it like I've done here and apply it to this branch. So select it, apply like this, and then we're just going to really UV map it really basically. So click on UV map, and you can choose one of these. If you want to try box, gives a pretty good showing. Unwrap, open the window. You can see it's all over the place, but we don't care because we're not going to use this in game, so it doesn't matter. Just scale it up, so it tiles it all over your object. Now collapse the stack, and you should get that look there. Now if you get this sort of look here, see how it's sort of a bit streaky, just go in and unwrap it again, open UV editor, and just select all these, sort of rotate it or if you want to. Scale it up a bit more. Just keep doing that until you get a pretty sort of semi-decent. There you go, that's better. I really like these little branches that are coming out here. I might do some, I might add some more of those onto some of these here. I've got one down there. So the next thing we're going to do is add our leaves to this. Okay, to add leaves, it's very simple. Just select all your leaves. Just put on the edges so we can see. Select your leaves, make a copy of them. Don't use these because you want to use them multiple times on your branches. Just copy them over and just start placing them, on your branch. Really, it's as simple as that. So get one, the pivot's pretty much, in the right place. You should have set that up already, like I explained before. Just make sure that it's those bits that are attached to the branches. Turn off edges for this. You can get to see it a bit better. Yeah, the rendering in Max is not great. It doesn't like the sorting issues with this, but ignore that. It doesn't really matter. It just makes it a little bit more awkward to work. That's all. Yeah, so just place them on your branches. In a sort of like organic sort of way. Don't just place them as if they would be growing in that position. Like that. Yeah, there's one. I'll speed this bit up because all I'm doing is moving them, positioning them, rotating them into view. Have a bit of variation. And there we have it, another branch. Okay, so all you need to do now is attach them all together. So select a leaf. And then go to attach the branch. Just select OK for that. Keep attaching all the rest of them. So they're all attached, like so. Just check by moving them that they're all attached, and that's it. And you just call that branch 065, I think it is. Check these all together. Yeah, call that branch 04. Check these are together. Branch 03. So we can render some of these off individually. So once we stack them into, we can stack them into a page like this, a 2K page, and we can cut them off and make smaller, tinier branches. If we want to just place some little ones around, we can do that too. So that's always quite cool. I think these two here, I think I grouped. So I'm going to ungroup that one and ungroup that. And now I'm going to have to attach them all together. Branch 1. Okay, the other thing to do is make sure your pivot is at the base here. So just like we did with our leaves, you may want to do it for your branches. Don't worry about all this distorted UV mess. If yours looks like that, that's fine, because you're going to see it like this. And when it's rendered, you're just going to see, it's going to be this big. So it doesn't matter about the UV mess, to be honest. We're not going to use it like that in game. We've broken all the modeling rules, so it doesn't really matter for these. Just letting you know. So now go and position your. Make sure your pivot is in the right place for each one. In the center of the base, because this is where it's going to attach to our bigger branches. So now if I try and rotate that, it should be pretty good. Yeah, that's good. So do that for each one. And there we have it. There's all our branches. So if you haven't created these other branches, just do them first before proceeding to the next video, because you need all of them for the next video. So that's it. That's our next stage done. So you can see the progression we're making here. We made our page and we broke them off to individual leaves. We created little branches. We're getting bigger and bigger. The next one we're going to do is much bigger branches. Like this sort of size here, and then we're going to attach these exactly the same process, And then once we've got the bigger branches, we're going to render them out as sheets of texture so we can then start attaching them to our trees. So I'll see you in the next lecture.